On a spectacularly gorgeous day, we have to talk about the potential of severe weather. Hi, I'm Glenn Jones with your Bermuda Stay Ready storm coverage presented by Lindo's group of companies. Let's get straight to Dr. Mark Gouchard, the director of the Bermuda Weather Service, to talk about the potential of Tropical Storm Peter coming our way. Dr. Gouchard, I can see the sun on your face. It is a beautiful day. I'm a little bit in the shade on the other side of my house. But we wanted to get you talking about what you're thinking in terms of Tropical Storm Peter potentially becoming a weather threat later this week.
Well, thanks again, Glenn, and it's lovely to be here. It's lovely to be outside for once. Low humidity. Once I'm not breaking into a sweat when I come straight outside. But yes, we do have Tropical Storm Peter out there, which we're closely monitoring. As of this afternoon's advisory, Peter was located about 860 miles due south of Bermuda, and it's moving west-northwest at 9 knots. And as you can see from the track map here, it is forecast to sort of recurve, if you will, into the sort of northern subtropical Atlantic and move just south of us. It has a central pressure right now of 1,008 millibars, and it has maximum sustained winds of 35 knots with gusts to 45 knots. And that makes it a weak or marginal tropical storm. Closest point of approach to Bermuda within the next 3 days is forecast to be about 465 miles to the south-southwest on Friday, but it would come closer as time progresses. Now, all indications are that it's going to weaken over time as it approaches our latitude, and confidence is pretty high that it will be a non-event for Bermuda, but we'll of course continue to closely watch and advise any significant changes associated with Tropical Storm Peter.
Well, a non-event is the kind of language that we were hoping for, quite honestly. We try to get everybody to stay ready, but in the end, we don't want to have to tax our resources with another, big storm coming our way. So what else is out there? Because when I look back at the 2020 hurricane season, I know how busy it was. 30 named storms. That was a record. 14 of them were hurricanes. 11 of those 30 storms made landfall. So far, we've done okay, but I know that there's a lot of activity out there in 2021.
Absolutely. I mean, we're still watching the tropics closely as we continue through this active part of hurricane season. And through the end of this month, potential is there for even more activity. And we'll be keeping a close eye on the next tropical wave that's currently moving off the west coast of Africa. It is way too early, I should say, though, to say where that system will go or how intense it'll be when it gets there.
Well, I guess you knew you were going to get into an active hurricane season this year. And when we look at remind this, because although we're halfway through September and you feel like the bulk of the hurricane season is behind you, we're just now approaching the busiest time of the year for Bermuda. If you look at these stats, it'll show you that in September and October by far is when we get the greatest volume of storms during the Atlantic hurricane season. And this data goes back 150 years. So what's your reminder at this point, Dr. Gouchard, for the weeks that lie ahead?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing this up, Glenn, because although we're nearly at the end of September, remember that October has historically held a decent amount of hurricane activity for Bermuda. And if you include last year's Hurricane Paulette that moved through the area and made a direct hit, we still have 82 or 83% of all storms that affect Bermuda moving through the area in September and October. So we've still got a good 36%, historically speaking, that occur during October. We've now actually exhausted 17 out of the 21 storm names designated for this year already, with some notable impacts through the basin this year. Thankfully, none for Bermuda.
Yeah, we're at Peter now. You mentioned Rose. We'll be at the end of that alphabet list soon. In the past, we would go to the Greek alphabet, but they've changed that a little bit, right?
That's right. I mean, with only 4 left to go, I think it's a fairly reasonable prediction. I'll go ahead and predict that we'll probably have to run into that overflow lists of names by the end of the season. So as a reminder, the World Meteorological Organization's Regional Hurricane Committee, of which Bermuda is a participant, has changed this procedure, as you rightly pointed out, just this year. So we no longer use the Greek alphabet. if we run out of standard names. And we now have developed an overflow list for the Atlantic. So we've got those last 4 names this year: Sam, Teresa, Victor, and Wanda, before we get into that overflow list that we anticipate getting to.
All right. Well, we'll probably be there soon, unfortunately. So that's the latest on Tropical Storm Peter. Dr. Gouchard letting us know that although the storm is in our general area, we don't expect to see too much of an adverse effect from Tropical Storm Peter. He's described it as a non-event. So we hope that holds true. But of course, you have to continue to follow the development of this storm, either using the Bermuda Weather Service website, tuning into Bermuda's Stay Ready storm coverage, just to make sure that you're ready for whatever comes with this particular storm. And noting, of course, the busiest time of the hurricane season could still be in front of us for Bermuda, even though most of the hurricane season is already behind us. So that's the latest on Tropical Storm Peter. Thank you very much, Dr. Gouchard, for joining us. And thanks for coming outside. It is absolutely beautiful out here. And always remember to check back for Bermuda's Stay Ready storm coverage presented by Lindo's group of companies. Our thanks as well to the Ministry of National Security, Duracell, and Friesenbrook-Meyer, who help us to put all of this content together. Tropical Storm Peter still out there, but hopefully no adverse effects for Bermuda. I'm Glenn Jones. Have a good evening.